Hello, everyone, and welcome back to Moments with Me, the show where I talk about my personal experiences and my life stories. All right, everyone, welcome back to another great episode. In today's episode, this is a very long overdue episode, but I finally get to do the scratch behind the scenes with a special guest. That's right, I finally have a special guest again. But if you guys have not seen Scratch, please make sure you go and watch Scratch before you listen to this podcast because there will be spoilers and all that stuff talked about. So with all that being said, let's get straight into it. All right, everyone. So help me welcome my co-star, my best friend, the one and only Don Paolo, aka Paolo DiCanio. What's going on, man?
It's going great. It's going great. Thank you so much for having me once again on the show.
Of course,
I
man.
really enjoyed being on the show last time, and I'm glad to be back on it now. If you guys don't know, I play Seamus, who is one of the major characters in Scratch. I highly recommend that you go watch it, like Dylan said in the intro before you continue listening to this podcast, because we are going to be revealing some massive details about the behind-the-scenes work as well as the final product and everything in between. So without further ado, take it away.
Yeah, man. I mean, you said it great. You said it great. Which one thing that I really wanted to start off with was how Paolo was actually one of the people that had introduced me to the Geronimo Film Festival. I remember that he sent it to me, and I even told him that 3 people had suggested this film festival to me. And by the time I got that third person, I'm like, look, this is destiny.
Yeah, at that point it got crazy because I didn't know that people were already trying to send you like information for the show and the competition. So I thought I was the only one sending you this. By the time you were telling me like, oh, there was like 3 people, including you, that showed me this, I was like, okay, at this point, like, let's stop messing around. Like let's get to work on this.
Let's do it, man. Let's do it. I was gonna ask too because I was curious. I don't know if I ever asked you, but how did you find out about the festival?
So I follow Geronimo Records because one of the founding members, believe it or not, was a buddy that I used to hang around with at Palo Verde at high school. So I found his channel and I saw that he was doing a lot of like little mini shows like at different places around Arts District and all over Vegas, just performing with very local artists. And what happened was one day I opened up my Instagram and I saw that they were hosting this film competition, and I was like, I gotta send this to Dylan immediately. And that's really how it started.
Yeah, that's awesome, man. And I want to thank you for suggesting that to me. But also, I gotta give a shout out to Geronimo Records, also to for helping kind of bring light to all these artists in Las Vegas. Filmmakers and musicians and all that stuff. So I love what he's doing, and I love that he's still going with it. And it was so awesome to be a part of it, man. It was
Yeah,
so
I
awesome.
definitely feel like they got to do more of those film competitions,
Yeah.
or if anything, at least make it an annual event. Because based on what I was seeing, like through your lens, it was an absolutely phenomenal event. It raised a lot of awareness, and I feel like this could be something huge. This could be something where it's like, oh, we're hosting it on one day, and then we'll host another one like 3 months from now. It could become something major for young and talented filmmakers like you.
Well, thank you, man. And I definitely agree. And I think from the sound of it, because I did talk to him a little bit, and I think from the sound of it, it will be an annual thing. I don't know when the next one will be, but by the sound of it, it will happen again. Which
it better be
awesome.
soon.
It
better be soon.
I hope so, man. I hope so. But I'm still I keep checking my Instagram to see the announcement, so I keep looking.
And I hope next time, whenever it happens, I'll be able to come.
Of course, yeah. Oh, yeah. Because if you guys don't know, Paolo was out of town, so he unfortunately couldn't make it for the festival, but he was there in spirit. He was on the screen, so that's close enough.
Yeah, close enough.
Which I was going to talk about too, kind of with brainstorming the idea for this movie, because it was because also with this festival, it was something very different for me, because I ended up like waiting to get a prompt to then make a movie for that festival, which I've never had to do before. That was something very different for me. At first, when I submitted, I thought that I had to submit a movie for it, right? Like other film festivals.
Yeah.
But then I saw when I was reading through it that, oh, like I'm making a movie for this. Like this is really cool. And so I had a whole week to do it, and it had to be under 6 minutes, and I had prompts sent to me, and I chose one prompt, and in case you guys don't know, so the prompt that I used for Scratch was involving a handshake or including a handshake, which I will say the biggest thing for me with doing this movie was it was trying to figure out what I can do that's 6 minutes or less.
Yeah, I feel like that really was the one rule that kind of diminished a lot of our ideas at first because we didn't know exactly what idea we were going to come up with that was based on stuff that we already knew and loved and we could apply it to this. But at the same time, we didn't want it to cross over those rules, which, by the way, I did not expect this film competition to have so many rules. I thought that,
Mm-hmm.
like, it's the first time that they were doing it. It would be a little bit more free when it came down to, like, rules. I didn't expect them to already be off the bat, like, super, like, you got to do this, and that. And if you don't, then you're disqualified. So that I feel like was a major, like, factor in the idea that we came up with.
Yeah, it was definitely like that was the biggest obstacle for me because I'm the type of filmmaker where I believe that a movie will be as long as it needs to be. And so for this time for me to have to figure out a story that can fit within that, like 6 minute window, that was the biggest part for me. Like, cause I think like,
Oh, yeah, for sure.
yeah, because coming up with ideas, like, I can, like, not to brag, but I can do that, but one that, like, it has to be within 6 minutes. That's where I'm like, well, what can I tell in 6 minutes or less?
Yeah, exactly.
It's like I know I've done it before, but now when I actually have to do it, it's like, well, like, what do I do? And at first with it, I was trying to come up with a new idea. I was trying to come up with a new idea based on the prompts that were sent. And then I thought, what if instead of trying to come up with a new idea, what if I try to apply one of the prompts to an idea that I already had before, which was, having a gangster pool movie. And then I was like, wait a minute, I can involve the handshake and have that be like a big part of the movie.
Yeah, exactly. And even then it was tough because it's like, how exactly do we incorporate it? How exactly do we tell this story? What can we kind of take inspiration from like Shakedown and use it in our movie? What can be new about it? And so I feel like the way that we were brainstorming, it was just throwing ideas at each other
For
until
sure.
finally we got that one idea where it's like it fits everything that we were looking for.
Of course, man. Of course. And I know that, like, especially with doing this movie too, it, like, I was really, like, especially with writing, I was trying to keep the script as short as possible, simple, sweet, straight to the point, because I did not want to risk filming it and then it's over 6 minutes or something. So I was really trying to keep the story as simple as I could while also having us have fun with it. And also the reason why I wanted to do this movie specifically was because a lot of the prompts were very Vegas themed.
Yeah, wasn't one of them like it had to incorporate dice? Another one was cards. It,
Mhm.
it was very, very Vegas esque.
Yes, yeah, very Vegas. So yeah, basically, I was just like, well, what idea can I do that like kind of fits into that, like category, if you will. And then I was like, well, like pool table. I was like, like yeah, that's kind of
Yeah,
Vegas.
it kind of works.
Yeah. So yeah, that's kind of just how the idea came to be. I also wrote the script 2 days before we started filming, by the way, because it was my only other day off because I had 2 days off of work and it was Monday and Wednesday. And Monday was the day I was like, okay, I'm going to go and write this script. And then Wednesday's the day that we're going to film it. So I wrote it and I sent it to Paolo. And what did you think of the script when you first saw it?
I definitely thought it was super brief.
Yeah. I know.
But
Like,
again, I totally understand what you're saying because you didn't want to risk uh, wasting time on this or going over that 6 minute overall time period for the movie. So
mhm.
it was definitely, I could see like the little bit of challenge that you had with not only conceptualizing the idea but also writing the script for it so that it is basic, it hits everything, and we go from there. So when I was reading the script, it was super duper nice.
Yeah.
And
Thanks, man.
part of me was also like, hmm, how can I make more out of this?
Mhm.
Because I didn't want to say it was almost too brief, but at the same time, it was like, reading a script is completely different from like when you're filming it because sometimes we'll drag a sentence out a little bit longer. Sometimes a scene might be a little bit shorter than we first anticipated.
Yes.
And so I was like, there's got to be like certain parts of this script, at least whether it's ad lib or we discuss it firsthand, where we can make much more out of this scene or make much more out of this dialogue so that it fit closer to the 6 minute interval.
Of course, yeah, and I think another benefit too of keeping the script super brief is that it leaves room for us to expand it a little bit,
Yeah, exactly,
and
exactly.
not risk going over. And that's kind of why I think I also wanted to keep the script super, simple to the point and brief, just because like if we were to drag it out, I at least wouldn't worry so much about going over that time limit.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, man. And another fun part of doing this movie was creating our characters for the movie, man.
Oh yeah, that was definitely a fun part.
Yeah, it was very fun. And I like just for context, by the way, guys. So with Shakedown, it was an Italian mob film. So with this one, Paolo had suggested that it would be an Irish mob film, and I thought that that was a really cool idea. And because one of the things I wanted to do is I wanted to make it different than Shakedown.
Yeah.
I didn't want it to, be like, oh, this is just like another mob film. I wanted it to have a different feel than that. And with creating my character, I also wanted to make sure that I wasn't just playing Jimmy again. And especially because with this time we kind of flipped the script a little bit because now you're playing the member and I was playing the boss. So I was like, okay, I wanted to include like some kind of voice, some kind of accent, and I was and pretty much after you gave me that idea, I was pretty much just brainstorming like, okay, like what's the voice gonna be, and then I eventually started doing a little bit of Liam Neeson when he's like, I will find you and I will kill you.
Yeah, I noticed that a lot actually.
Yeah. So I started doing that, and I was like, ooh, like maybe like if I can, like find that like middle ground because I imagined him with like a deeper voice. So I was like, okay, like what can I do? Because also with doing an Irish accent, I didn't want to be like top of the morning to you laddies,
Yeah, right.
So I was trying to like I wanted to be intimidating while having that accent. So then I was like, what if I tried giving him like a little more gravel, and I'm like, Seamus, how are you, my friend? And it just kind of like took off from there, and I started like really practicing that voice.
I think the funny part about the whole voices thing was that I didn't even like take into account like doing voices or anything like that. So I was very, very surprised when you started doing it, and I was just sitting over here just like, regular voice. Cause I didn't know exactly if we were doing that stuff or not until you kind of surprised me with that.
Surprise.
So here you are doing the voice, and I'm just sitting here looking like boring in the morning, and I didn't know if I wanted to even attempt to do a Boston accent to differentiate between like Irish versus Boston Irish.
Mm-hmm.
But at the end of the day, I was like, but I'll just stick to my voice. I'll be clean. I'll just emphasize my power.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, that's really what threw me for a loop during the filming process.
Yeah, man. I had a lot of fun playing Cormac and really like again like making my character very different from Jimmy from Shakedown, and that was really fun to do. And of course getting to work with the one and only Paolo, of course is always great. And I will say, like, when it comes to filming itself, what surprised me was, like, honestly, we filmed it pretty fast.
No, we filmed it fast. I was actually very concerned about the timing.
Yeah, me too, man.
I'm doing like my usual 5K walk around the neighborhood, and I get a text from you being like, "Bro, you're not gonna believe what I'm about to tell you." So we did like 3 hours worth of filming, I think.
Mm-hmm.
The movie's gonna come out to like less than 4 minutes. I'm like, wait a second,
Yeah,
wait a minute here.
Yeah, it was like, yeah, because the movie was 4 minutes and 42 seconds.
No,
Yeah.
that was crazy to me.
I know, because when filming it, a part of me was like, I think it's gonna hit like exactly 6 minutes.
Yeah,
like,
right.
I thought it was gonna be longer.
I thought we had to trim a little bit more fat.
Yeah, but no. Apparently, we could have added fat.
No, for real.
But yeah, man. So that was a lot of fun. And I will say too, like, it was really cool because, like, with doing it this time around, right? Because with Shakedown, like, it was a movie where we were like talking to each other for the majority of the film. And what made this film like different and like stand out a little bit from Shakedown was having the pool table. And I thought
Yeah,
it felt
right.
like, yeah, like that. It was a really cool addition to it. And then getting the B-roll of the pool table and all that stuff was, I don't know, like, it was really cool. Like, added.
And I also think it presented a lot of different challenges for us.
Yes,
Because now we had to angle all of our shots just around this one table.
that is true.
Because it was
Yeah,
the center focus. So unlike our other films where we're in either multiple locations or usually we have enough space in one location to film. In this, we were super tight knit with that pool table.
yes, yeah,
So I feel like that in itself presented challenges, but also presented opportunities for us to try different angles, to
of course.
try new things. And I feel like at the end of the day, it created a much better product than I thought it was originally going to be.
Yeah, and I think too, like, for certain shots, I think it also helped with making it like, like, very aesthetic too, with, like, like having all the, like, pool balls and
Yes,
stuff all around.
so
and,
cutesy,
like,
so mindful, so demure.
so colorful. Oh yeah, man. But yeah, it was a very cool, like, addition, but, like, in a way also kind of a challenge, like you were saying, because it's like we had to, like, kind of keep in mind, like, when we do your shot, like, like the white balls over here, so, like, if we're doing different angles, and we have to keep that in mind, so it's.
Yeah, I was actually just about to bring up that exact same point because not only was it about the pool table itself, it was also about the game. And
Yeah.
so part of the challenge was we actually had to remember how the balls were shot.
Yeah.
So if we messed up on a single shot, like actually playing pool, we had to like remember like where exactly the ball went, where everything was in the last shot, and then replicate it before we could even shoot the scene again.
Yeah, and it's funny too, because originally when I was writing it, it was gonna be basically where, like, when we have our big, like, like, I'll call it the climax of the movie, right, where we're, like, having our argument. It was gonna be where, like, right after that was gonna be the final shot with Scratch. But then I remembered, I was like, well, wait, a pool game is a lot longer than this. So then I had to rewrite the script a little bit to where I added the B-roll footage of the pool balls, going into the pockets.
Yeah.
Because I was like, no, like, we can't finish a game that quickly. So I was like, that was my little workaround for that. And speaking of which, I wanted to add too that the ending was not exactly supposed to go how it went.
No, literally, it really was not in the script. It was very like last second decisioning.
Yeah. It was crazy because, so, like, and just to describe what was originally going to happen, so Paolo was going to miss the 8 ball, right? And I say scratch. And then I was going to take my shot, make it, and win. But if anything, I like the ending of you scratching and getting it in the pocket, because it also, again, like, got to the point a lot quicker. And also not only that, but, like, it was I liked it a lot more. I liked it a lot more than it was
I actually
planned.
ended up liking it a lot more as well.
Yeah, it was like a happy accident.
Yeah, basically.
Yeah, so I think it all worked out, and I really like that happened, man. That was so cool. Um, and I was gonna talk a little too about the actual, which I know you talked about it a little bit, but I wanted to talk about the actual festival experience a little
Yeah,
bit.
so my question that I wanted to ask you about that was, this was, correct me if I'm wrong, the first time that you got to premiere one of your films in front of a massive live audience.
Yep.
So my question to you was, how exactly did that feel? Is this something that you would have wanted to pursue like years before if you had the opportunity to do so? And what was the general reception? Did people come up to you being like, "Yo, man, I really liked your film. I really liked it," or being like, "Oh, this movie sucked. I'm not seeing this thing ever again." like you got to kind of give me the feel around this.
Of course, yeah. Well, first things first, I will say I have wanted to have this experience for a long time, but I couldn't find a festival that would do it. And for a lot of festivals, it was where basically your movie had to be good enough to be screened there. So at this festival, I had to actually make a movie for it. So it was very different. So it's like my film. So it was cool because my film was guaranteed to be screened whether it was good or not.
Yeah, exactly.
So I was really like excited about that, and I think I was really excited about getting my film screened. Like I was like, yes, it's finally happening. It's finally happening. I've been waiting for this moment. I was more excited than I was nervous. I know that there was like pretty much because my film was, I think it was second to last being screened.
Yeah, I thought
So
yours was like second to last or third to last, if
yeah,
I remembered correctly.
it was something like that. So pretty much like so at the beginning, I was just like, oh my gosh, I'm so ready. I'm so ready to see what people think of this movie. And then it happened. And what's funny is like certain moments got a chuckle that I didn't really expect to get a chuckle.
Really? Wait,
Yeah.
which part?
So, well, one being like the moments where we had scratched, right? And that was a moment where like people had chuckled a little bit, which I forgot to say, by the way. I wanted to just say this real quick too, that what I liked, like, so at the beginning of the film where I did the pool break, I wanted it to resemble a gunshot when I'm like, when you see Shane and kill him, and then so I really wanted to like kind of have a little bit of like symbolism in there a little bit, and then later on, Seamus had scratched because he's like, what? And then when I had scratched because I was like thrown off by basically what Seamus was saying. So I liked having like using the pool table almost as like symbolism a little bit in that way too, which I'm getting sidetracked. But but I thought about that because I was talking about the experience. But so yeah, basically the movie was screened. Also the other part where people had laughed was when you when I was like, he killed a fucking Italian.
Oh yeah, that one. I'm just looking at you like this. I'm like.
And the look that you gave, and like people chuckled a little at that too. But I will say, like, as like the second I was like, like your family, and I got to that part, like the theater was silent, but I kind of I was like, I think that's a good silence. I think everyone's like, oh my god. So
Protect the wife, protect the kids.
yeah, so yeah, man. So it was really really cool to see people, and then of course, like probably the best part of getting it screened too was that when everyone claps at the end of your movie. It's such a good feeling, man.
Yeah, right.
It's such a good feeling. So
Did you get like a standing ovation or anything?
well, it wasn't a standing ovation, but it was like an applause for it, and because like they also screen the movies like back to back to back, so they
Oh, so they didn't even give you like a second to stop.
yeah, like
They were just like, all right, end the movie, on to the next one.
pretty much, yeah. And then there was and then so that had happened, and then I had a few people being like, "Oh my god, like that movie was great," and of course that's always great to hear in person. Like I get like text messages or I'll get comments on my movies and stuff, but it's not the same as hearing it in person. And
Yeah,
hearing it
right.
in person, you're like, Thank you so much.
I'd like to thank Dr. Pepper and the Academy for receiving this comment.
Yeah, man. So basically, all the movies were screened, and then the voting happened, and the voting happened for which, like, basically the best film, and there was the top three. Unfortunately, Scratch did not make the top three, but I will say there was quite a bit of great movies that were screened there. So it was,
yeah, no, there was a lot of great movies on that list as well.
yeah.
As soon as I saw the one that had like the super like kind of like the hyper dream one like near the end,
Yeah.
I was like, yeah, that's definitely winning. That's making top three.
Yeah, yeah. I think my favorite was Heard, where he had the headphones and he was like hearing people's thoughts and he was like taking them on and putting them, like, I was like, that was such a cool concept.
That's a very cool concept.
And because the prompt that he used for that one was the have a character take off their headphones or earphones. But for him to make that the whole movie,
Yeah, I think that was very clever. That was very, very clever.
it was, because like some people did it, but they did it for like one moment where it's like, like that, so it was really cool to have him actually like do it for the full movie. But I was very happy for everyone. I was kind of at, like, in the position though where I was like, win or lose, this is a great opportunity and experience either way, just to get it screened, And
yeah, right.
I think next time I'm like, look, I want to win, but for this first time around, I'm like, I just want to get a movie screened. I want to have that experience. Sure. Yeah, man. So it was really, really fun. Again, especially when it comes to like, oh, will I do this again? Absolutely. I will absolutely do this again, because it was also a fun exercise too, as a filmmaker, to have a week to make a movie and go off of what they give you.
Yeah.
So like, it was really cool, and the time limit too. Like, it was all these, like you said, requirements that like I didn't really expect to have, but it was an interesting like exercise for me, and it was a lot of fun. And I'm really glad that that Paolo got to be a part of it too, because you killed it, and of course I was like, I have to have you in this movie, man.
Really do appreciate that, because I didn't know which direction exactly you were going to head in as far as this movie was concerned. But for me to be part of that movie and to see that getting screened, I also felt like a little sense of pride in that as well. At least getting to be involved in something like that. And I really do appreciate you letting me be in that movie.
Of course. And I tried to like let you know ahead of time, because like the other thing was too, like, because I didn't know what the prompts were going to be, I was like, I don't know what kind of movie I'm going to make. Like, will I go the comedic route? Will I go the dramatic route? Will I go like a horror direction? I don't know, because like, I don't know what the prompts are, But then when I got the prompt and then I thought about that idea, I was like, all right, let's bring Paolo onto this movie.
and I had an absolute blast on every single step of the way throughout the production of this movie. And so I hope that the next time that Geronimo does indeed do another one of these film competitions, I would love to either A, be with you once again in one of these movies, or B, participate myself in one of these movies.
Yeah, honestly, like, that would be kind of cool. I won't lie.
No, it would be cool, but I'm also nervous that it would start a rivalry between Heinrich Films and Lighthouse Productions. Like, that internal rivalry.
It'd be a friendly rivalry, man. I'd be like...
I don't know. I might have to take this a little personal.
I will say too, by the way, so the founder and the sister of the founder, they have both said that Scratch was one of their favorite projects in the festival. And so like, to hear that from them was really cool. Even if I didn't place in the top 3, that's still really cool to hear from them.
Yeah, that's amazing. That's absolutely amazing.
Yeah, so I was very honored to hear that, man. I was very honored. I was going to say too, because I know we've brought it up a couple times, but I wanted to kind of ask you, Shakedown versus Scratch. I wanted to ask you, like, I mean, I don't know if I want to say like which movie's better, but like kind of like maybe comparing your like different experiences to, like Shakedown and Scratch, and like kind of like, I don't know, like which experience you liked more, or like Or you could say which movie you liked more.
That's very tough because on one hand you have the movie that we just made, Scratch.
Mm-hmm.
We knew the certain situations. We were given a prompt. We were given rules. We had to abide by them accordingly. Create the idea, and then within a short period of time, write the script for it, and then film it and premiere it. Like it was super short, and we had business tight on that.
Absolutely, man.
And then you had Shakedown, which, if you were to write about what exactly happened from the time that we were like, oh, let's make a mob movie, to the time that we released it and won the awards for it, I mean, it was, I don't want to say it was an absolute, like, chaos show, but it kind of was.
Mm-hmm.
For one, you had Rahul also involved in the process. Second, we had time to come up with the script. We had time to figure out how everyone was going to be portrayed, even though I would say about maybe a third of the movie was pure ad lib.
Yes.
Then we all find out that I'm moving from Vegas back to Florida.
Yep.
So we're like, oh shoot, how do we adapt to that situation? And then filming while there's literally boxes all around us.
Yeah.
Which I thought was hilarious.
Yeah.
So like it's not so much of a comparison because Shakedown was the cornerstone of Heinrich films, in my opinion. This was the movie that we all can say really like was the biggest learning experience for all three of us.
For sure, man.
While Scratch was something that we got inspired from Shakedown and we used it to pioneer what we were going to do based on what we were given.
Yeah, I think that's very well said too, man. Because I think that they were very different experiences. You know, like because when doing Shakedown, that was like I don't want to say like it wasn't like exactly when I first started off, but it was still like in my early days of filmmaking. You
And
know?
not only that, as far as the script was concerned, Scratch was 10 times easier in the sense that it was a very short script.
Mm-hmm.
Anytime we were done with the tape, we were like, okay, what's the next line? Let's just quickly have a look at that. All right,
Yep.
let's get going.
Yeah.
Shakedown, though, that was its own separate. I mean, we were hiding scripts under the table because we didn't know what exactly we were gonna say.
That's so
or
true.
what we were gonna do, unless like we physically were gonna go like word for word, like verbatim, what we were going to say. It was 10 times more difficult.
For sure. Yeah. I mean, I think like part of it was because, you know, you had Scratch, which was like you said, like literally a few pages. And then Shakedown was like,
No, that was
like
like
8 pages or something like that?
No, I thought it was a 20-page script.
It might have been actually because of all the monologues and stuff.
Yeah.
It
It was like a 20-page script.
Yeah. So it was, yeah, that was a very like improv heavy movie while like drawing inspiration from the script. I mean, I don't know, because it's hard, man. Like, trying to compare Shakedown and Scratch. It's a very hard thing to do because I think Shakedown has a special place in my heart because it was one that we had talked about a while ago. And like, with you moving away, like you said, it was the motivation to make the movie finally. And it was a fun process. I loved that I stayed in character the whole film shoot.
He was Jimmy all the way.
All the way, even like in between takes. You even see it in the bloopers when I'm like, I forgot to stand. I'm so sorry.
No, it was funny because he's talking like that. I'm like, bro, you're eating fettuccine alfredo. Just speak normal. We're not even filming. We're not even filming. You're good, bro.
I think the reason why I did that though was because I was, you know, like because I was having to direct and, you know, be in the film. I was worried that like the stress of filming would kind of make me like not be as into character, which is why I tried to like stay in character as much as possible.
But I think that was weirdly enough something that was, I don't want to say proven, but it was kind of exemplified like when we were filming Scratch, because you were able to kind of like be you as a director while still being able to properly play Cormac.
Yeah, man.
With Shakedown, it was like, all right, I want you two to stand in this corner on the side. We're gonna get the B-roll shot right over here. I'm like, bro, you're good.
I mean, but it was kind of fun though at the same time.
No, it was fun as heck, but I'm like, it's not that deep. Ref, do something.
Oh man, but you know, I will say though, it's very special. Also, like with Shakedown, because of all the festivals that it had been to and all that stuff,
Yeah.
and like I said, it was a passion project not only for me but for all three of us. You know, and
Yeah, right.
and for us to like make that happen like as a group, and it's very special to this day. And I also loved being able to film in black and white for that movie. That was something that was really cool.
No,
to do.
that was really cool.
Yeah. So it's very hard because again, they're two very different experiences. They're two very different films. Um, I don't know. Like I can't really say which one's better, but like I could say that like I think Shakedown personally has more of an edge just because again like that was such a special project at the time.
It was definitely the much more influential project as far as the scope of Heinrich Films is concerned. It's probably the most influential, like biggest, most challenged movie that we recorded.
Yeah, man, and I will say I'm proud of them both. I think like it was, and honestly, after Shakedown, I wasn't sure if I was gonna do another mob film again because I was just worried that if I did, then everyone would watch it and be like, oh, this is just another Shakedown, you know. And but then with this idea, with the idea of Scratch and like kind of fleshing that out, and even again like having it be with the Irish mob, I'm like, okay, I think I can do another mob film and have this still stand out from Shakedown.
Yeah, exactly.
And yeah, and in like a fraction of the runtime.
Oh yeah, in a fraction of the runtime. Crazy, still.
Yeah, man. So I gotta ask you, what was your thoughts on Scratch when you had first seen it?
I loved it. I think for what we were doing, because again, I was still thinking about it as a project where it wasn't just your ordinary Heinrich Films film.
Mm-hmm.
It was a Heinrich Films film where, for the first time ever, we physically had a list of guidelines that we had to follow,
Mm-hmm.
which was influential enough to create the project that we did. So for us to follow those rules and still make a movie like that, I felt really proud of that.
Yeah, man.
I felt like it was an amazing project for what we had to face.
Yeah, man. Well,
I definitely think we should have made top three.
yeah.
Or for all the doubters and the haters in the comments, at least top 5.
Yeah, I really like. I think that was. I think when I was texting you, I think it was like that was really the main reason I was bummed. Was not because I didn't win. Was because I really had the confidence that it was gonna place in the top 3. Like I was like just that confident in the film. And
And I thought so too. I was very, very confident that we were gonna make top 3. I think the storytelling that we had on that thing was very, very brilliant.
yeah.
But then again, I am not the one that builds the software. I am not the one that makes the rules.
Yeah,
so what am I to say? But the one thing that I will say though is that I'm very proud of us, not only as a duo, but the people behind Heinrich Films, and I feel very proud that no matter what happens, whether it's kind of like with Scratch, where we're given rules, or whether we are just free nilly-willy about how we film things, I always feel this sense of, pride and confidence in the work that we produce, especially not only with Scratch, but also with Shakedown, with even a movie that is as silly and rambunctious as like when you and I did either Ham and Cheese or Green Screen Movie 2.
Yeah, man.
I always feel that like thing in my heart where it's like, I'm glad that we did this project. I'm glad that we did what we did throughout the process. And as someone who is not only a friend or brother from another mother, but also like someone who is heavily involved within Heinrich Films, I'm very proud of you. I'm proud of the work that we have achieved and the awards that we have accomplished throughout this process, and I hope we can continue doing so.
Well, thanks, man. That very well said, man. That hit me, man. That hit me right in the heart. Well, Paolo, I want to thank you again for being a part of this movie, for helping me with doing this movie, and also thank you for being on this podcast because I wanted to do this for so long.
Yeah, me too. I've been wanting to do this for a long while.
Yeah, man. So thank you again. And if you want to say goodbye to the audience.
Thank you so much, audience, for listening to Moments with Me, starring Dylan Heinrich and featuring Paolo DiCanio. I hope you enjoyed this episode, and stay tuned for more.
Yeah, man. Yeah, man. So if you guys like this episode, please make sure you like and subscribe. And if you haven't seen Scratch, which you better have because you just listened to a whole bunch of spoilers, so go and watch Scratch again, please. Like, go and support us. And with all that being said, I'll talk to you guys next time.